So with rumors about another Ghost Recon game being in development, I thought it would be a cool idea to make a video compiling all of the features from Ghost Recon Breakpoint, as well as Ghost Recon Wildlands that would work well in a future installment of the Ghost Recon franchise. Hey everybody, my name is Juan Solo with A Squad Gaming, and if this is your first time here on the channel, welcome, it is great to have you. Consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise here on the channel, and for those of you that may have been here a time or two, welcome back. So going all the way back to the Tom Henderson leak stating that a new Ghost Recon game could be releasing in the year 2025, I thought we could take a trip down memory lane and go back to Ghost Recon Wildlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint and take core gameplay systems from those two games, smash them into one game that could make up a new Ghost Recon game. So starting off with the timeline and location of the game, it definitely needs to be more like Ghost Recon Wildlands. I personally don't think that it needs to be a real location as long as it's a believable location grounded in reality or a fictional location based off of a real location itself. Wildlands did this perfectly with the map of Bolivia. It had diverse biomes and there were parts of the world that were based off of real locations in the actual country of Bolivia. Overall, it had great vibes and the location fit the narrative that was established for the game. Now, when it comes to a timeline, I will make this short and sweet, but my personal opinion is it should be based around a similar timeline to Ghost Recon Wildlands, in and around that 2019-2020 timeline. So many people had an issue with the advanced drone tech in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and they want to return to a more grounded experience for the next game. If you stick to the lore in the Ghost Recon franchise, the technology really starts ramping up after the year 2020. Hunter Team gets access to the optical camouflage, Skeltech really starts manufacturing that drone tech that eventually is weaponized in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. If they stick to a Wildlands time period or earlier, or figure out a way to have a game set in current times that doesn't go too heavy with the drone tech, I think it would work great for a new Ghost Recon game. Moving on to the narrative of the game, this also needs to be more in line with Ghost Recon Wildlands, and what I mean by that is it needs to be more heavily focused on actual gameplay and not crazy cinematic story with endless dialogue choices and cutscenes. Wildlands did this extremely well by concentrating mainly on the gameplay, and there would only be cutscenes when there needed to be. And let's not forget, Wildlands had proper cutscenes where your character had all of the gear that they were wearing on in the actual game. Ghost Recon Breakpoint had way too much dialogue and cutscenes that really pulled you out of the tactical shooter experience that we were meant to have in the game. I'm all for having really cool cutscenes that extend the narrative of the game, but it needs to have a good balance so that it's not all cutscenes and dialogue choices like a narrative-driven game would be. It still needs to concentrate on being a third-person tactical shooter, and that is the main point of the game. Now moving into the weapon and character customization systems that need to be in the next game, this is a little bit of a tough one because in my opinion neither game really excelled at this, and there is definitely room for improvement in both titles. But with that being said, if we had a weapon customization system more in line with Ghost Recon Wildlands, that would be ideal. I actually just made a video about this a couple of weeks ago, but having full control over all attachments in the game, including being able to put multiple rail and optic attachments on a single weapon, needs to be a top priority. We need to get away from the weapon variant system that was instituted in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and when it comes to the character customization, they need to pull the best of both games, but they also need to do some proper research and allow us to customize our chest rigs, helmets, and other items so that there is a wider range of character customization. Also, when it comes to the icon skins that we know will eventually come to the game, these need to be broken up into individual parts rather than the entire skin being all one piece. Using Ghost Recon Breakpoint as an example, we should be able to use the Knock Operator skin headpiece with the Kozak chest rig and Scott Mitchell's pants. All of the icon skins need to be broken down into individual items so that we can mix and match and make the ultimate operator. The developers could definitely look to Ground Branch and Escape from Tarkov for inspiration. The modders over at nexusmods.com are already doing this, so they definitely need to look at this for the next game. So now moving on into some of the core systems in the game, such as AI, physics, and character animations. When it comes to the enemy AI, it needs to be a huge improvement from both games because neither game really excelled in this area. Enemies need to be able to value their lives, flank, throw tactical grenades, and have other tactics that really make them a challenge for the player. But when it comes to the in-game physics and character animations, they need to pull these directly from Ghost Recon Breakpoint, especially the physics, because that was one of the biggest things that was a huge miss in Ghost Recon Wildlands, especially with the bullet physics. Bullets seem to travel extremely slow and have insane amounts of bullet drop in Ghost Recon Wildlands, and that is definitely a no-go for the next iteration of the franchise. Other than there being dozens of melee animations that could only be triggered in very specific scenarios, overall the animations in Ghost Recon Breakpoint were much better than the animations in Wildlands. Don't get me wrong, they could definitely be improved upon, but it would be a good start for the next iteration of the Ghost Recon franchise. Also, something that we could mention here in this segment would be the gunplay, and this is definitely a much better mechanic in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It felt like there was more weight behind the weapons, and also the increased time to kill in Ghost Recon Breakpoint definitely made the game feel more realistic. For those of you that remember in Ghost Recon Wildlands, as long as you remained in stealth, pretty much everything in the game was a one-shot kill. But depending on the enemy archetype and the weapon that you were using, that was extremely different in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I would definitely say a lot more realistic for that matter as well. Overall, when it came to all of the in-game mechanics, Ghost Recon Breakpoint goes above and beyond compared to Ghost Recon Wildlands. There were a number of new mechanics that, yes, sometimes they were a little bit gimmicky, but being able to pick up and carry bodies, cut through fences, thrown camo into the environment, and even more, those were huge steps forward for the Ghost Recon franchise. I do have to say though, in the next iteration of the franchise, they definitely need to switch the carry body feature over to a drag just to speed up the animation and make it a little bit more realistic. Also, I do want to mention here real quick before I forget, they need to have the addition of smoke grenades in the next game. This is something that was completely missing from Ghost Recon Wildlands, and in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the only thing that we had that was even close was the Panther special skill that allowed you to deploy a smoke screen around your character that would practically make your character disappear to the enemy AI for a short period of time. Any real tactical shooter has to have the ability to have smoke grenades that react to the environment and also have the AI react to them as well. Throwing a smoke grenade and having the AI shoot directly through it like it's not even there is an absolute no-go, and if they do put the smoke grenades in the game, it must be properly implemented. So moving on to the last thing I wanted to talk about here in today's video, and that would be on how the story and narrative would be constructed in the next game. There are definitely things I missed in this video, but I didn't want the video to run too long, and I kind of wanted this to stay to the core features that need to be in the next game. Please make sure to comment down below if I missed anything and what you would like to see from Ghost Recon Wildlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint in the next game. But going back to the main story and the narrative, I think Ghost Recon Wildlands did this very well. Having different bosses that you had to track down in each region to gain intel on the main boss was a really cool system that a lot of people wanted to see in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which is why it was then added for the Red Patriot DLC for that game. There's a few things that I would like to see changed when it comes to these systems though, and it would allow for the narrative to be a little bit more dynamic. So for instance, I feel as if there should be more recon and intel gathering in each region before you can gain access to one of these bosses. Also, if there's a mission where you have to either capture or kill the target, it shouldn't just be a game over and restart if you fail the mission. For instance, let's say the main objective of a mission is to sneak into a base and capture a lieutenant and interrogate him to get intel on the boss's location. If you happen to fail and the lieutenant escapes, it should not just be a game over and restart. The lieutenant should escape and possibly go to a separate base and pop up a couple of in-game days later, or you might even have to track down some more intel to find out the lieutenant's new whereabouts. Things like this would make the game more immersive and also more dynamic, because there should never be a game over mechanic built into the game whatsoever. If you fail a mission, there should be small consequences, but there should also be a path to get back to the main objective as well. Also, when it comes to the main story, this one would be extremely tough, but if we had to choose between Ghost Recon Wildlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint, I would love to go back and dismantle another drug cartel like we did in Ghost Recon Wildlands, especially if the developers instituted the Conquest mode style gameplay mechanics from Operation Motherland's DLC. Having the world be more dynamic, things that we would do in the world affecting other things throughout the world when it comes to ally presence, enemy presence, and more would be really cool. That would be a massive step in the right direction for the Ghost Recon franchise, but with that being said, that is where I'm going to wrap it up for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comments. Did I miss anything that you would like to see in the next Ghost Recon game? Make sure to leave all of those thoughts down below. But like I said, that is all for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, you are excited about the possibility of the developers using the best features from both Ghost Recon Wildlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint to craft the next game, make sure to drop a like on the video and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on all content surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise here on the channel moving forward. But that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.